Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, delightful. Today is Monday, January 22nd, 1/22/24. One day I'll get over this, or maybe not. Uh, yeah, here we are with a brand new week. I have a number of things to talk about. I want to talk about a book I'm reading, a little bit more about misogyny. Sorry, guys. Uh, Yeah, I have several points about this because this book is making me think about things. I also want to talk about inspirational stuff, um, and also a bit on marketing. So many, many things to talk about today, uh, and in no particular order. But I have notes. So I had a great weekend. The SIFWA HEA quest went off fantastically. It was just really terrific. Everyone had a great time. I listened in on all three panels, and they were all really interesting. I got some very interesting ideas from them. Did I mention interesting? Um, it was, yeah, really, really a terrific event. And I'm really glad that we got it done, and maybe next year we can expand it. They really want to make it into more of a mini con, them being the romance steering committee, and so yeah, I was really pleased with it. Um, I even listened to, as I said, I was not. I was going to. I was kind of monitoring, making sure that everything was going okay, even though other people were there. I didn't need to. Um, but I was invested and also interested. And I listened to the newsletter panel, the third panel on marketing, which I had thought I was not going to do because you all know I'm rather famously, I wouldn't say anti newsletter, but I am anti the concept that newsletters are the be all and end all of marketing. I am also not a huge fan of marketing, full stop, which I think is probably to my detriment. But I will keep coming back to the same thing, which is how I give advice. And I do try to make it clear when I give people advice that this is me, this is what I believe. Um, and what works for me, and I think that that's a core concept, that what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, and that goes for all aspects of being a creative. um, I saw a really interesting Instagram post, which I reshared, about Enya, the musician and singer, that apparently she has never gone on tour. She never ever does a public concert. She lives on a remote castle in Ireland. She does not do all of those must things. She records entirely in private with a few people, and that's how she does her thing. Um, And you could say, well, yeah, but she's not Taylor Swift, selling out stadiums around the world and making billions, but she doesn't want to do that. See, that's not why she's doing what she's doing. And one thing for me is that while I very much want to make a living as a writer and am doing so, uh, you know, sometimes it's squeaking by, but I'm doing it. Uh, if I were only in it for the money, it wouldn't that wouldn't do it for me, right? Because I could, I'm fortunate that I am well educated and fairly skilled, and I know how to work in a corporate environment. If all I cared about was making a living doing whatever, then I would go get a job. But so for me, the most important thing is I want to write books, I want to tell stories. So marketing for me always comes second. It's, or maybe farther down the list. Um, but I will say, I do try to keep an open mind. I know appearances to the contrary. The gals on my Discord were teasing me because I do make a big point of saying that there are no stupid questions, that everyone uh, should feel free to ask anything that they want. But I came down on someone for something, and I don't even remember what it was now. Where I said, "No, this isn't a good answer," and she was laughing at me, and she's saying, "There may not be stupid questions, but there are stupid answers." And I was like, "Fair, mea culpa." I absolutely believe that there are stupid answers, and it annoys me when there are bad answers out in the world, bad information. So, and I guess I could do a little sideways jaunt into one of my notes and return to this, the marketing thoughts. But one of the things that gets under my skin is the empty inspiration. And I feel like there's so much of this on the internet, and I feel like people really want it. Uh, and it's people saying things. So I'm trying to figure out a way to clean this up, file off the serial numbers. But somebody said a thing like, the only thing getting in your way is you. And once you get over that, you are totally free and you can accomplish anything you want. And I've heard variations on this all my life. And I am here to say that I believe that's utter bullshit. Um, I really just do. So, full disclosure, I did martial arts training for 15 years, something like that. And that was one of my teacher's favorite sayings. Like, if you weren't progressing, if you couldn't do what you were supposed to do, that the only problem was that you were getting in your own way. And that he was like, you have to learn how to get out of your own way. And over time, it became very clear that it was not a great environment. I'm going to come right out and say it was a toxic environment. There was a lot of shit going on, which I've since discovered happens in a lot of martial arts schools. Teachers sleeping with their students, and, it becomes more about their cult, their self-aggrandizement than about anything else. They don't actually want their students to learn and succeed. And so this thing that people say, that the only thing getting in your way is yourself, is it's one of those things that kind of sounds vaguely profound, and then it's nonsense, because nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows how to change it. It's like, well, and that's why it's a great line for people who just want to be controlling or who want to bullshit things, right? Because it's like, well, if you just get out of your own way, then you'd be successful. I can't help you until you get out of your own way. And you're thinking, how do I get out of my own way? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's nonsense. So um, I I sometimes feel like I'm not the inspirational podcast that I could be, because I do believe so strongly in only giving you what are my authentic truths. And I don't know, a lot of people don't want authentic truth. They want something like, oh, well, if I could just get out of my own way, then I will succeed. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. All of you out there, if you have figured out how to get out of your own way, if this has some meaning to you, I would love to hear it. Let me know. Be right back. Cat is hung up. No, he's fine. So I just wanted to vent a little bit on that. It doesn't help that I know details about that person, that some of the things that they have done for their success are not things that I would recommend. And I know that's tantalizing, but now I feel like I'm really talking out of school, so I'll stop there. Um, Back to marketing thoughts. I really do try to keep an open mind. And I mean, I've done stuff over time, like I took the Facebook ads class and I tried doing Facebook ads. It did not work for me. And I just feel like newsletters don't really work for me. I mean, And a lot of you are on my newsletter, and I send out my newsletter, and I'm sure it has some impact, but it is such the holy grail for so many people. And I think I've done rants on here before that, excuse me, a lot of us don't like doing newsletters, and people are told you have to, you must. And I really bridle at any kind of the you must conversation, right? If you've been listening to this for any length of time, you know this about me. It's like, excuse me, I don't know why I'm coughing. Um, there, that's better. I'm a little throaty today, but I'm feeling much better. I was feeling a little run down on Friday, but much, much better. I also just hung out a lot this weekend, and that was good. Um, so, yeah, don't let anybody tell you that this is what you have to do. There, that's my inspirational. That's as inspirational as I get, people. Don't, there is no must. There is, okay, I'll take it back. There is one thing. If you want to be a writer, there is one thing you have to do. And I know that you're all shouting it back to me, right? You have to write. Write the book. That's the one thing you have to do. Enya can live in her castle and never go on tour and never interact with anybody, but she does one thing, right? She makes her music. And so that's the thing. If you want to create, then you must create. And there's not really any way getting around that. Not even with ChatGPT. Sorry, people. So one of the things that they said in the panel on marketing was that you should never make marketing decisions based on your own experience, which is absolutely what I do. So it did stick out to me. I was like, well, but that's very difficult for me to process, because how do I operate authentically in the world if I make decisions that are not based on my authentic experience? Um, you know, I suppose that marketing is not about authenticity, right? It's about influencing people, which is not something that I love. But their point was that, just because you hate getting newsletters, which I hate getting newsletters, um, that does not mean that everybody does. And that their point was is your readers do want to hear from you. And I think that's true. And I don't know if I've discussed this before on here. I would be interested to hear from those of you who do get my newsletter what you think of it. Assistant Corrine does my newsletter. In fact, a lot of times I don't even know that the newsletter is coming out until I see it in my inbox, because she just does it. And I love that. I love that she just does it. But I'm starting to rethink if that's the right way to do it, because the gals who were talking about the newslettering, and I'm not going to be able to think of their names, sorry. And I'm not going to pause to look it up. I guess I could if I were responsible, but they gave a very great talk, and I appreciated what they had to say. Well, Kilby Blades was one, Tammy Levesque was another. No, I am going to look it up. It's good that I looked. Tammy Lebrec and A.M. Lau. So, and they were all coming from like marketing backgrounds, and they gave really good advice. Uh, but one of the things that they talked about was that the newsletter should be in your own voice. And Corrine does grab text from stuff that I've posted, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to talk with her, and I'm going to have to take at least a little bit more of a hand in the newsletter. So for those of you who do get it, who do read it, let me know if you have thoughts on it. I'm sure it could be improved. You won't hurt my feelings if you tell me that it sucks. You might hurt Corinne's, but I won't tell her. Uh, but yeah, let me know what you would like to see in it. I'm just wondering if this is something I should pay more attention to. I put so much into my social media. So, like a lot of you listen to this podcast or watch the podcast. So, I would assume you're not paying attention to the newsletter, right? The newsletter, I would think, is for people who don't catch all my other social media, which is what I mainly rely on. So, I'm not leaving myself a lot of time, which might be just as well. But so, I've been reading this book, Brotopia by Emily Chang, and I will link to it. There, I made myself a note to, or opened the tab for it. It's a really good book, and I highly recommend it. I will go online and do my book recommendations. But it's about Silicon Valley and the history of basically computer science and the internet, and it's about the evolution of this very male centric, white male centric culture in Silicon Valley and how it has shaped so much of our internet, our social media, the very structure of the platforms we work with. Um, Kev, if you're listening to the podcast, I sent you a message on Google Chat, one of our social media platforms, that I think you would really like it. You know, they go back and talk about how things shaped in the 80s and how, like in the mid 80s, about 40% of computer science graduates were female, which dropped to precipitously to current levels of 18%. And this book really examines the Silicon Valley culture and, uh, how female perspectives have become systematically excluded, how it created the ground for all kinds of sexual harassment. It's a well written book and it's a fascinating read. Um, and it just brings to mind some things about my own experience that I you don't realize at the time because you're immersed in a culture and you don't realize how things impact you. Um, One thing is, I don't wear my hats on the podcast, but many of you know I wear hats when I go out because I'm very fair skinned and I try to protect my skin. I had a couple of friends die in their early 20s of melanoma, and it scared me, and I wear hats. And because it's, I don't know if I've told the story, I'll tell it fast. What happened is like I wear hats habitually. My very first conference, it was an RWA conference in San Francisco. I registered late, had to stay at the Overflow Hotel. So I walked over to the conference hotel wearing my hat. I had no place to leave it. And so I just wore my hat around, and everyone noticed me and everyone remembered me. And I became within a day known as the woman in the hat. And it became part of my brand. So I wear it when I'm doing working writer stuff, with the exception of this podcast, because it's kind of annoying to wear the hat on camera. It shades my face and it's annoying to wear inside. But one thing that I get a lot is guys making comments about my hats, especially in science fiction fantasy realms, where they will ask me, why am I wearing a hat inside? And um, they just make comments about my hats that are uncomfortable and sometimes feel harassing. And and I don't like it. And so once I was, not long ago, actually, I was with a group of friends with some people that were like, one of them was my friend and the rest were her friends. And there was a guy there who was from this high finance background and, very much part of this kind of culture. And I was talking about how I don't like men making comments on my hats. Women don't do it. Women are always very positive. It's always men making these kind of semi snarky comments. And and I said how I didn't like men making comments on my hats. I mean, now you've heard me say it, right? I don't like it. So, what is it about people when you tell them, I don't like this thing, that they then feel compelled to do it? Certain personalities, right? So, this guy says to me, well, so when you're working at your desk, do you wear a hard hat? And I pretended to not understand. I'm like, I don't get it. And he's like, because, you know, people working wear hard hats. And I'm like, isn't that in construction? And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, because you wear hats. And I said, I don't like people making comments about my hats. And my friend said to me later, and I did feel a little bit bad since this was her friend. She said, well, you can't take the things that he says too seriously because he's so sweet. And and I abided because he was her friend and I was being polite. But I thought, yes, I can. I can take those things seriously. And she is in some ways a much more accommodating person than I am. And I know that I am. Uh, I have I have sharp boundaries at times, and that's definitely a place where it's like, don't don't mess with me. Uh, but I thought, don't don't tell me what I can or can't forgive people saying to me, right? And I think that's a place where we all are. And that's really come out in this book, like what things women are allowed to respond to, right? And I didn't get through my whole list, but maybe we don't need to. Uh, Maybe I will do it on Friday. So, anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope that you are doing the things that you want to do, making money the way that you want to, and that if somebody says something to you that you don't like, I'm going to wave the permission wand. You don't have to smile. You all have a great week, and I'll talk to you on Friday. Bye bye.